These are our live spoilers: Holly's overdose scare, Lexi Carver's shocking return, and Jeremy Horton finally gets his justice. Okay. Salem is absolutely on fire right now, and if you are not caught up on what's coming during the week of March 2nd through 6th, you are not ready. Buckle up. Because we have a potential overdose crisis, a ghost from Salem's past rising from the dead, a mystery that could flip everything upside down, and a kidnapping mystery that I am personally convinced everyone is getting completely wrong. I'm your host, and welcome back to the channel where we don't just tell you what's happening in Salem, we dissect it, we debate it, and we call it out when the writers are being absolutely wild. Let's get into it. 1. Holly's downward spiral. We've seen this before. Salem. Let's start with Holly, because honestly, this storyline is breaking my heart and terrifying me at the same time. The spoilers are pointing hard toward Holly potentially ending up in the hospital again. And here's the thing, she's been taking prescription medication that was never prescribed to her. Strong stuff. The kind of stuff that doesn't play around. And when I say strong, I mean this isn't some casual experimentation. This is a ticking time bomb, and Salem's adults are apparently too caught up in their own drama to notice. Now, let me be real with you for a second. Holly isn't the first young character in Salem to spiral like this. Think back 2 years ago when the show put younger characters through addiction storylines. There's a long, painful history here. Will Horton's journey, the various Brady family members who've dealt with substance issues. Salem, as a town, has never handled these storylines lightly when the writers are firing on all cylinders. So the question is, will they do Holly justice? I genuinely hope so. Because Holly has had such a rough road. She's Nicole's daughter. She grew up without knowing her real father. She's been through emotional trauma that most adults couldn't handle. And now she's reaching for substances that are giving her a false sense of control or escape. That's not a plot point, that's a character who is crying out for help, and nobody is listening. The big fear for this week: overdose. Again? And if that happens, watch for it to become the catalyst that finally forces the people around her to wake up. Meanwhile, and I love this little subplot, Ari keeps thinking about Liam. You know, the lean, brooding guy energy. And now she's possibly heading toward arranging a date with an older single dad. Listen, I am here for Ari having a storyline that isn't just reactive. Let her have some agency. Let her make questionable romantic decisions like every other adult in Salem does on a Tuesday. We love to see it. 2. Gabby, Rafe, and the forged divorce papers. The stakes are massive. Shifting gears, because the Gabby and Rafe storyline is genuinely heating up in a way that feels legally and emotionally explosive. Gabby is on a mission to collect enough handwriting samples to potentially prove that those divorce documents are forgeries. And she needs Rafe to take this to the FBI lab. Now, think about what that means for a moment. If those documents are proven to be fake, everything built on top of them collapses. Marriages, property, legal arrangements, all of it. This is soap opera at its most classically satisfying. The slow build of gathering evidence, the procedural element of an FBI lab analysis, it actually feels grounded in a way that some Salem storylines don't always manage. Rafe, bless him, is a cop who actually uses police resources correctly approximately 40% of the time on this show, so fingers crossed this is one of those moments. And then there's the Versix serum storyline. Rafe is apparently close to testing a new hybrid version of this serum. Now, for those who haven't been following closely, the Versix serum has been one of those slow-burn scientific thriller threads that Duel loves to weave through other storylines. This feels like it's approaching a critical moment. What does the serum do exactly when this new version is tested? I have theories. Dark theories. And I will be watching closely. 3. EJ's bombshell is that Lexi Carver in that tube. Okay. This right here is the part of the spoilers that made me actually gasp out loud. AJ DiMera is getting ready to show Paulina something he has been keeping secret, someone he has in the pipeline, so to speak. And my read on this, based on everything that's been building, that person is Lexi Carver. Let me just sit with that for a second. Because Lexi Carver, Dr. Alexandra Brooks Carver, was one of the most beloved legacy characters this show has ever produced. Stefano's daughter, Abby's wife, a brilliant doctor with a moral compass that constantly battled against her DiMera blood. Her death back in 2012 from a brain tumor was genuinely one of the most devastating exits in the show's modern era. Fans mourned her, truly mourned her, and now, AJ has her, in some kind of preservation or resurrection situation. Banko Tinjiji King. And yes, I'm switching languages for a second because this genuinely deserves a multilingual reaction. Here's where it gets philosophically interesting for me as a fan. The Demera family has a long, deeply uncomfortable history with resurrection, cloning, and body preservation. Tony came back. Andre came back masquerading as Tony. Stefano himself died and came back more times than I can count on two hands. So the show has established that bringing someone back from the dead is absolutely on the table, especially if you have Demera resources and a sufficiently engaged motivation. But why Lexi? Why now? My theory, and this is pure speculation, but it's grounded speculation, is that this connects back to Stefano's final chess move. The old man never did anything without 17 layers of planning underneath it. If Lexi is somehow preserved or kept alive, Stefano may have orchestrated that long before his own death as a gift, a trap, or both. That's very Stefano. Horrifying and tender at the same time. Showing this to Paulina specifically is an interesting choice. Paulina's reaction to seeing Lexi or whoever this person is going to be pure and filtered shock. And EJ leveraging that shock for some kind of power play. Classic EJ. I love him and I can't stand him, and that's exactly how he should make us feel. For Stefano's will, the last game from beyond the grave. Speaking of Stefano's final moves, the reading of Stefano Dimmer's will is approaching, and I am deeply suspicious of EJ's confidence here. EJ's walking around like he knows exactly what's in that will. Like he's already spent the money in his head. And that energy, in soap opera history, is the energy of a man who is about to be absolutely blindsided. Stefano Demera spent his entire life playing chess with human beings. He didn't leave a straightforward will. He couldn't. It would be against his fundamental nature. I'm fully expecting some kind of last-minute amendment, a secret codicil, a proviso that nobody saw coming, possibly even benefiting someone that EJ would never expect. Could it involve Lexi? Could it involve a child nobody knew about? Could it route Demera resources to a completely surprising place? The writers have set this up as a slow reveal, and I think the will reading is going to be one of those episodes you want to watch live rather than spoiled. Mark my words, EJ is not going to like what he hears. 5 Sean, JJ, and the scarred man. Real danger is coming. Now let's talk about the men walking directly into trouble, as men in Salem are contractually obligated to do. Sean Douglas Brady and JJ Devereaux are digging deeper into the mystery of the scarred man who hired Liam. And Klaus, who is coming to Salem to tie up loose ends, is now in the picture. The spoilers suggest Klaus may be responsible for an attack on Sean, possibly a shooting, but here's the twist I keep coming back to: maybe Liam is actually the real target. Think about it. If the scarred man is trying to protect his identity, and Liam is the one person who could directly connect back to him, eliminating Liam makes more strategic sense than going after Sean. Sean is collateral damage, an inconvenience, a warning. Liam is the liability. That changes the dynamic of this whole story completely if I'm right. And it raises the stakes for JJ as well, because if JJ is standing next to Liam when this goes down. 6. The Jeremy Horton injustice. I will die on this hill. Alright, let me tell you about the storyline I am most emotionally invested in right now, and probably the most personally furious about on behalf of a fictional character. Jeremy Horton. Let me be very clear. I think Jeremy is innocent, and I think Salem is doing him dirty in a way that is painful to watch. Here's what we know. Jeremy came back to Salem having done genuine, real, verifiable work on himself. He got a teaching degree. He's in the classroom making a difference in children's lives. His students like him. He went to Stephanie and apologized, not a performative apology, not a manipulative one, but one that acknowledged his past behavior and demonstrated changed character. And what does Salem do? Steve, Kayla, Alex, Jada, they all looked at this man and saw only who he used to be. They're treating years of personal growth like it means absolutely nothing. And honestly, that's one of the most realistic and also most frustrating things this show has done in a while. Because in real life, people who change rarely get credit for it. The reformed villain always carries the scarlet letter. But here's the kicker: Marlena Evans, of all people, is the voice of reason here. She told Kayla directly, Jeremy doesn't fit the profile of someone who would do this. Cast a wider net. And Marlena is a psychiatrist. She knows what she's talking about. So why isn't anyone listening? My prediction, and I feel very confident about this, is that when Stephanie is rescued, it's going to be Owen Ken under that hoodie, not Jeremy. Steve is going to grab someone he thinks is Jeremy, rip off the hood, and find himself staring at Owen. And in that moment, everyone who railroaded Jeremy is going to have to reckon with what they did. They will owe him an apology, a real one, for dragging his name through the mud, for assuming his guilt, for invalidating everything he worked for. Whether they actually give him that apology properly or whether the show brushes past it will tell us a lot about whether the writers are truly committed to doing this storyline justice. I'm on Team Jeremy until proven otherwise. That's my position, and I'm holding it. 7. Brady and Sarah and the Kristen variable. Quickly, because this deserves a mention, Brady Black and Sarah Horton are getting closer, much closer, and that means Kristen DiMera is going to feel the heat. And a cornered Kristen is an unpredictable Kristen. We also know that the actress playing Rachel is departing the show in the coming weeks, having already moved on to a new project. That will inevitably shift the Brady-Kristen-Rachel dynamic, and whatever happens with Rachel's exit could be either heartbreaking or the thing that finally pushes Brady fully towards Sarah. So that's your week in Salem, but expanded, dissected, and analyzed the way it deserves to be. Holly's life hanging in the balance. Lexi Carver potentially back from the dead. Stefano's will as his final game. Jeremy Horton deserving better. Owen Kent about to blow everything open. This is Days of Our Lives, baby. It never stops. It never slows down. And I will be here for every single twist. If you're as obsessed as I am, drop a comment telling me, do you think that's really Lexi and EJ's secret? Do you believe Jeremy is innocent? Let's fight about it respectfully in the comments. Like the video, subscribe if you haven't yet, and I will see you next time. Salem never sleeps, and neither do we.